Hey, it's me, Hannah. This weekend I will be attending the Moon and Myth Fantasy Ball hosted by my friends at Fête du Fay. I am beyond excited about this weekend, but I've been super busy with Katsucon and cosplay builds, and now I only have a few days left to put something together to wear to this ball. Now, I have some ideas. I love armor in fashion, and I haven't broken out the chainmail in a while. So I've been tooling around with some concepts for a sort of battle-ready Queen of the Moon type of look. I'm still workshopping what that actually means, but stay with me. So I was gifted this sort of tulle petticoat in this light blue fabric with like this really interesting detail that kind of peeks out a little bit. And it has this long, beautiful train, and it's just giving me moon vibes. The girls that get it. So I thought I would use this as my base and just kind of build from there. I also ordered some blue and gray jump rings and scales to play around with some mail armor type things to wear, or maybe some chain detail at least. And I have some EVA foam that I thought I could use to make sort of a feminine breastplate, or maybe some pauldrons. I really wish I had more of a concrete vision for this, but I think we're just gonna have to work it out together. So we already have a skirt, so I think the next logical step would be to make a sort of bodice breastplate thing. So let's get to work on that. Okay, so once that dries, I'm going to spray her down with some silvery, moony spray paint and hope that it all comes out nicely. In the meantime, I'm going to focus on some more properly metallic details. I am thinking that some scale pauldrons would look nice as a detail on my shoulders. Now I got two different types of scales. So I can't decide which of the two scales I want to use. They are two different sizes, so it's not like I could really do like an alternating pattern or anything like that. The blue is really blue, and the silver is just not quite blue enough to go with the blue skirt and like the blue. Could I stack them like that? Let me see if I can make this work with my jump rings. We might be onto something here.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I think that's gonna work. Okay, so we officially have some direction on our scale mail pattern design. I am going to take this and basically just continue to build out a triangle shape to a good width to cover my shoulders. Then once we get it to that width, we can see how long we can make it. We only have a finite amount of these scales, so we're just gonna have to see what we can get away with. Okay, so we have two baby pauldrons. I think what I'm planning to do is just make a quick chain to connect the pauldrons in the front and the back so that they are more likely to stay on my body. And then I might also just add some extra chains, like, you know, maybe a little bit further down or on my arms, just for a little extra flair. This blue is definitely brighter compared to the skirt than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would come off a little more muted. It's giving superhero. So now I'm thinking I need to tie it together more with my outfit. And I think I'm going to do that by creating a belt. When I received my order of jump rings, it came with a bunch of different types of weave suggestions. And while I love the simplicity of my go-to European 4-in-1, I thought I could give a new weave a try. So I've decided to give the Vipera Berus, that particular type of weave a try. So I'm basically just going to start with a long chain of rings. If I were to make just one long piece, then I would probably make this chain of rings 2 to 3 times the length of my waist measurement, but I am doing it in parts. I actually already have some of it done because when you stretch this out, it's going to be a certain length, but the requirement of the weave is to sort of like fold the rings in on themselves a little bit. So you kind of end up losing a lot of that length. Kind of like that. Obviously, a lot shorter when you fold it up like that than if you have it full length. So let's make this chain. So for this next one, I am going to bring in this darker gray. You can see it in this section that I have done already. I'm just trying to tie the blue and the gray together. There's more gray in the pauldrons, so I thought I'd make the gray the like secondary detail in this. So for this second piece, this is where things are gonna get a little more interesting. So this silver piece is going to go down through this third top ring, and then come up behind the second ring and through this new tier of rings. So this ring right here was our first top ring. This ring right here was our second, and this was our third. This was the first one we used to connect. The silver one is obviously our second. So you can see the relationship between these rings. So I'm going to close this. And you'll start to kind of see them fall into place where the first ring will point up and then the second one will point down. And you'll see in the next couple sets that it will continue to go up and down, up and down. The blue will be up, the silver will be down. This third ring is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, down through the fourth one, then up through the silver from behind.
That's what she said.
And through this third one. So there's this tiny little hole right here that we're gonna go through. Okay, there we are. So you can see we went down through the fourth ring and then back up through the silver and the third ring. And then we just kind of rinse and repeat. It's really helpful to me to kind of reset after each one. You eventually get into a rhythm, but especially as you know, this is still a new weave for me, so getting the pattern down does take a few tries. Now that I have finished that top row, we're going to flip the chain over. You can see this moves the gray rings to more of like an outside roll, whereas those blue rings that we added are now pointed in, and that just changes depending on what side you're looking at. Starting point here is pretty similar to our last round, where we are going down through the second ring and then back up through the first top ring. Close that up and let it kind of fall to point to the outside. Take our next blue ring, and it's going to go down through the next open ring and then back up through both the new ring and the previous top ring. And voila! We have ourselves almost a full length belt. I probably have one more section about that same length to do, and we'll be good to go. I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out. I was able to use this silicone mold that I just picked up from a craft store to make this little, like, almost like a chain detail underneath the cups here. And I think that just, one, covers up the seams there that aren't perfect, but also just adds a little extra flair. I also ordered this other mold that has these like stars and moon faces on it. So I'm going to, using hot glue, fill these molds to make these pieces to just add a little extra detail to my bodice. Once I have finished adding those details, we can turn to Plasti Dip and spray paint, and I think we'll be approaching having something to wear to the ball. How exciting. Then it'll just be focusing on details, chainmail, accessories, things like that, whatever I can get done before the ball. Also, I went to my local crafting supply thrift store, and I found this fabric that is like sheer with, I don't know if we want to call it tie-dye necessarily, but it almost, maybe not perfectly matches this, but you know, you get these kind of on top of each other and certain striations within this. They go. I think they go together. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking this fabric, kind of doubling it up, layering it a little bit, and adding it as a little bit of a cape deal. I can't believe I just randomly found this fabric. $2. It was no money. I love thrifting. Also, look at the movement of this fabric. I'm obsessed, yeah. So I'm thinking I can add this, attach it to like the pauldrons that I'm making out of scale mail, and we'll just go from there. It doesn't have to be, it's a cape. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. The rest of today, I am going to be focused on finishing up the breastplate bodice situation, which means I gotta warm up that hot glue gun. The last thing I want to do is make a headpiece of some sort. Now, we've all seen Florence Pugh's recent coif moment, and I need this in my life so badly. I already have a chain hood, but it doesn't match the chain I have on the belt and the scale mail, so let's make another one, or at least start one. I essentially just made a couple different triangles out of chain and then connected them and started building off of that. I don't know, there are a lot of tutorials out there, but I did try to come up with some sort of pattern here to make it specifically decorative. I'm happy with how it turned out in the end. I can't. I'm so excited. I love this so much. We got ready pretty early and are now just kind of like taking photos and grabbing videos, whatever, just capturing the moment. It's already been just a blast hanging out with everybody, and I'm so excited to get to the ball and get dancing. The foam armor, the foam breastplate and bodice situation, I think turned out way better than the last breastplate I tried to make out of foam, so I'm very happy with that. Obviously, I didn't get to a full chain hood or a coif, but the headpiece I think came out pretty good, and it's on there pretty well. I kind of wish that the pauldrons were a little bit bigger and could stay on a little bit better. I'm still like trying to figure out the best way to make sure that they're not moving around too much, but I love the cape detail. This skirt is a statement. I feel like a battle ready Queen of the Moon. I'm pretty pleased with the detail from the hot glue. I think that worked out really well, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to play around with that as I build out armor down the road. I also added these little charms at the corners here of my headpiece, and I think that again, just like cute little details. I feel like all of the best outfits and like costumes and fits that I'm seeing from all of my friends here are very detail oriented, and the details is what really makes them shine. Just, ooh, everything came together so nicely, and now we're ready to party. Let's go to the ball. I don't know how many times I can say it. This weekend was so much fun. Unfortunately, I did end up splitting a seam in my bodice / breastplate on the way to the ball. So I quickly repurposed my cape into a little makeshift bodice and got the important parts covered, and just decided to dance the night away rather than wallow. So unfortunately, I don't have any additional clips of the armored look, but I hope you have fun watching the rest of the clips from the event. And if you did, it would mean the world to me if you would like and subscribe. And if you do, I will see you in 2 weeks for my next video. Take care.